The wind was sharp. That morning, cold enough to bite through. The wool shawl wrapped around Eliza May's shoulders. She sat alone on a wooden wagon at the edge of an endless dirt road, her hands trembling over a crumpled letter, the one that had promised her a husband, a home, and a new beginning in the West. But promises, she was learning, don't always keep their word. It had been 3 days since she arrived in the dusty town of Willow Creek, and the man who was supposed to meet her, her mail-order groom, never showed. At first, she waited by the station bench, then outside the saloon, where the stagecoach stopped. By the second night, she realized no one was coming. The road that once brought her hope now felt like a road that had taken it away. She whispered to herself, "Maybe God forgot my name somewhere along the way." Her voice broke in the wind, carried off into the wide emptiness. That's when she heard it, the soft rhythm of hooves approaching. A single rider, tall in the saddle, hat pulled low against the sun. He slowed near her wagon, his horse snorting as dust lifted around them. The stranger's voice was deep but gentle. "Ma'am, looks like you've had a rough road." Eliza looked up. Her eyes met a man's who'd seen his own share of storms, Luke Carter, a quiet cowboy from the far side of the valley. His shirt was worn, his hands calloused, but there was something unshakably kind about him. "The road's not the only thing that's been rough," she replied softly. Luke nodded, no judgment in his eyes. "Come on, miss. I got coffee and a fire back at my ranch. You can rest a spell if you'd like." Eliza hesitated. Trust was a hard thing for her now. But there was something steady in his tone, something that told her she could breathe again, even just for a while. She climbed onto his horse wagon, and together they rode west, away from the broken promise and unknowingly, toward the kind of healing neither of them knew they needed. As the sun sank behind the hills, Eliza looked up at the open sky, and for the first time in a long while, she whispered, "Maybe God didn't forget me after all." Luke's ranch sat quietly between the low hills and the wide sky. It wasn't fancy, just a weathered barn, a small wooden house, and a few horses grazing near the fence. But to Eliza, after nights of cold benches and silence, it felt like safety. Luke helped her down from the wagon. "Place ain't much," he said shyly, "but it's honest." Eliza smiled faintly. "Honest sounds better than fancy these days." He led her inside, poured her a cup of coffee, strong black, and a little too hot, but she didn't care. For the first time in weeks, someone had made her something warm. They didn't talk much that night. Luke fixed the fire. Eliza sat near the window, watching the stars climb over the ridge. The silence wasn't awkward, it was peaceful, a kind of quiet that lets your heart rest. When Luke brought her a blanket, she said softly, "You haven't asked me who I am, or why I'm here." He paused by the firelight. "Figured you'd tell me when you're ready," he said simply. Then he tipped his hat and walked out, leaving her stunned by his calm kindness. No man had ever been that gentle, not in a long time. Most wanted to fix her, own her, or question her. But Luke, he just gave her space. And somehow, that was the greatest gift. Over the next few days, Eliza helped with small chores, feeding the hens, sweeping the porch, warming the kettle in the mornings. Luke never asked for it, but she needed to feel useful again. Sometimes she'd see him working the fields, shirt rolled up, the sun catching on his rough hands. There was something steady about him, the kind of strength that didn't come from muscles, but from quiet endurance. One evening, when the wind turned gold and soft, Luke brought her a small wooden cross he'd carved himself. "Found you sitting on the road looking lost," he said. "Figured maybe you could use this. Helps me when I forget which way I'm headed." Eliza held the cross, her eyes filling with tears. For days she hadn't prayed. She thought God had turned his back. But somehow, through this quiet cowboy, she felt his mercy again. She looked at Luke and whispered, "You don't even know me, and yet you've shown me more kindness than anyone ever has." Luke shrugged lightly. "Don't gotta know a person's past to treat 'em right, ma'am. Sometimes folks just need a chance to start again." That night, as she lay under the old ranch roof, Eliza closed her eyes with a heart that felt, for the first time, a little lighter. The road that had once broken her faith was slowly leading her toward something beautiful. Not just a man's kindness, but a reminder that grace still existed in this world.